Myth 1 from my research paper. Gender diversity is not a necessary objective for companies, and companies have no incentive to progress in this realm. Now, the reality is, as shown throughout this research paper, whether conducting a literature review, surveys, or interviews, it was made quite clear that gender diversity provides many economic and social benefits to organizations. It was found that gender diversity at a leadership level leads to increased creativity and innovation, organizational reputation, productivity, decision-making, problem-solving, and organizational performance. This was supported by further research too. During the interviews which I conducted with executives from Europe and America, each interviewee emphasized the economic benefits of increased gender diversity at leadership levels, increased creativity and innovation, and increased innovation-related revenue. Myth 2 from my research paper. The lack of gender diversity at leadership levels is primarily due to structural and recruitment biases which can easily be fixed with policies and intervention. Now the reality. My research paper does address the importance of policies and interventions. In the McKinsey report, the broken rung, which is a talent gap due to old boys networks in hierarchical structures in organizations, is mentioned and discussed in the research paper. Literature by the OECD suggests the necessity of quotas and affirmative action policies to put an end to these all boys networks and ensure that qualified women are no longer denied access to management positions because of their gender. However, temporary quotas alone may not necessarily reduce the root issue of a lack of gender diversity in the workplace due to underlying socio-cultural variables that may affect a lack of gender diversity. This includes underlying schemas and biases that exist towards women in society, like the double bind or assertiveness penalty. Myth 3 from my research paper. Focusing excessively on gender diversity at leadership levels will undermine merit-based selection. The reality is that this is a very controversial statement. It is based on the key assumptions that recruitment without gender quotas is meritocratic. The existence of this assumption is addressed in a blog by LSE, stating that, I quote, "It is rather insulting to suggest that the reason why elite, wealthy, middle-aged white men dominate politics and other regions of power is because they deserve to, because of their greater merit. This suggests, by inference, that underrepresented groups, including women, ethnic minorities, and people from less privileged backgrounds, are relatively absent from politics because they don't deserve to be there. Furthermore, the criteria used to determine merit are very problematic and are difficult to make clear. In the interviews, it was further discussed that it is true that companies have to compromise qualification requirements to create changes, whether this means introducing affirmative action. This is because certain people don't have the same opportunities as others." Myth 4 from my research paper. The increase in gender diversity at leadership levels alone is greatly beneficial. The reality is that through the interviews in this research paper, it has been made very clear that while gender diversity at leadership levels is vital for social and economic progress, alone it is not enough. There are many other factors that need to be taken into consideration when aiming for diversity at a leadership level. This includes, but is not limited to, race, sexual orientation, heritage, background, and more. It is vital not to inadvertently divert attention from other equally significant aspects of progress when focusing on the increase of gender diversity at leadership levels.